This program is suitable for general viewing.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good evening on this 15th day of May 2025, right here from Horizon TV at the center of Nairobi Central Business District. My name is Feisal Kassim, and I'm honored, and it's my palm-pleasing pleasure to be your captain this evening as you're flying on this Boeing live real talk from now 8:20 all the way to 9 p.m. So we have at least there about 40 minutes thereabout to try and discuss on a very important matter that has been bedeviling this world and has been stressing us. Every time we switch on our televisions, we go into the social media, we see some of these things that are causing sleepless nights and making us having nightmares at some point, developing hatred, making us have some sort of emotions left, right, and center. To some people, this is just a normal day. But again, to those who are really affected, it is not a simple day. It is not a normal day per se. But if anything, subhanAllah, it is another 24 hours of life. What am I talking about? Right now, today, the 15th of May, marks 75 days since Israel blocked aid going into Gaza. That's number one. Number two, today, again, marked another journalist killed in Gaza, who forms part of the statistics of current number 53,010 people who were killed. The journalist was part of the 82 people who have been killed within the last 24 hours in Gaza. Wait, that's not all. 152 people in the last 24 hours were injured, which again marks or goes into the total of 119,998 people who have been injured since the genocide started on the 14th of October 2024. Now, again, 2023, beg your pardon. Now, that's not it. As of 15th of May, again today, 90% of Gaza's population have been forcibly displaced by this genocide that is happening right now. Arrest warrants have been issued by the International Criminal Court, but again, we are continuing to witness the double standards by the world, you and I included. We are not shouting enough, we are not making enough calls to the government or to whatever authorities that may be existing for these warrants of arrest to be actually executed. Now, the numbers that I've just read to many of us may just seem to be any other numbers or just any other statistics that we can find anywhere. But again, as I said, to people, it matters. We're talking about lives. We're talking about human lives here. We're talking about this world. We're talking about the 21st century. And to help me dispense on the matter of the genocide that is currently happening in Gaza, and really how then can we, and particularly our mothers and our sisters and our aunties and our daughters, can really take part in ending the genocide. Joining me is our mother, my mother, Ms. Fatma Saman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Allah, for making time for us this evening, and we're really honored to have you.
Thank you.
It is indeed a happy moment to have you, but again, the topic of discussion is not as pleasing, but again, it's one of those hard conversations that I think it's important to have as a society, which will help us grow and build a stronger community. Don't you think so?
Yes, I do think so.
Yeah.
It's important to recognize that however painful, we need to have serious discussions around what's happening in Palestine, and particularly in Gaza.
Yes.
And appreciate the fact that it is not only a humanitarian crisis, but rather a moral crisis. Yeah.
I think let me just engage you on a personal level on this one. I mean, for me, I've been following up on this matter, and since I think sometimes around 2006, and then my interest further developed sometimes around 2011, 2012, thereabout. And it has been a keen topic and a keen interest that I have been really following year in, year out. And I'll be honest, I mean, it has made me some life-changing decisions, so to speak, in terms of the choices of things that I decide to consume, things that I decide to associate myself with. But again, I have never been low ever again before, as I was since October 14th, and I followed that matter for 5-6 months until, to an extent, it kind of became toxic and affecting my mood swings, affecting my day, affecting how I interact with different people and how I move, basically. I don't know about you. How has it been for you, this whole matter of Israeli apartheid state trying to occupy Palestine?
Well, whatever has been destined to happen will happen. Mm-hmm. The worst feeling for any human being to have is the feeling of desperation, mm-hmm, and a feeling of helplessness.
Yes.
Every situation or every incident that has happened is either brings the worst out of us, mm-hmm, or the best out of us. Mm-hmm. And it's a test for all of us. It's a test for humanity. No. It's not only people in Gaza or in Palestine who are suffering, mm-hmm, but it is those of us who are also watching and seeing what's happening every day. Mm-hmm. And therefore, the most important thing is to always be conscious, mm-hmm, on a daily basis that you are not powerless. There's a lot we can do. Mm-hmm. I'm not giving up on the people of Palestine. I'm not giving up on the people of Gaza. Mm-hmm. And the most important thing for me as a mother was every other minute or every other time when I see the blessings that I have, is to remember there's a mother somewhere clutching on a baby under a rubble. And that there are children who are buried in those rubbles. And there are people who are living normal lives that some tyranny somewhere decides they're not worthy of a life. And therefore, and what is it that I can do? The beauty about our faith, the beauty about Islam, is that there's always guidance. There's available guidance. Mm-hmm. Even when you are short of knowledge, there's a way you can always reach out and find what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. What circumstances, whatever circumstances that you're going through, how are you able as a Muslim to stand up? Mm-hmm. What voice do you have? Mm-hmm. The worst thing we can suffer from is the feeling of helplessness. So continuous dua, giving out charity, mm-hmm, continuous awareness creation, and never allowing the world to stop thinking about what's happening, and poking every person's conscience, economically disempowering those that are oppressing people in Palestine, mm-hmm, those that are feeling that another human being ought not to live. I mean,
SubhanAllah, I don't know what gave them that kind of authority to actually even imagine or think that they can have such thoughts, or maybe the audacity, basically, that comes with it. I was astonished when a global leader went to public and actually declared that those people, they should be displaced and given other spaces to go and live, and a new life, a new breath, a new fresh air, other developments, basically, should be taken into Gaza, you know, and the 2 million people to be taken into other spaces.
We've allowed ourselves sometimes as human beings to use the blessings that God has given us to get immune to our limits, to not understand what actually it means for another human being, another human being's life. Mm-hmm. That lack of respect for other humans, a lack of respect, and you know, assuming that someone else's dignity and livelihood should not happen because you have to live. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know where that comes from, but anyway, the most important thing that, and the most important discussion around this, yes, is as a people, mm-hmm, what are we expected to do, even as a country, as Kenya? If you look at our country, our national values are inclined to, you know, appreciating fundamental freedoms of people, mm-hmm, appreciating the sovereignty of people, the dignity of human life. We come from a place where, as a country, we have those ideals that describe us.
Yes.
Those that our statehood or our governance is based on. And therefore, we're not voiceless, and we're not directionless. What we fail to do is at times assume that if I am okay, then what's happening out there is not my, it is our business. It is every morning what happens in Gaza is our business. And we have capacity. We have capacity to influence what the action and the direction the world takes. When you find people getting comfortable to sell fear, we have abdicated our responsibility. The people are very powerful, but that power, you need to take it.
SubhanAllah, you see, it's interesting that you're actually bringing that into light, and we can remember last year around more or less the same time when people were talking about the finance bill, and around June when it was passed, and then the power of the people actually made the whole bill to be revised. It was actually an act, because it was assented by after it was passed, but the president was supposed to sign it. It was actually reversed. Why? Because of the will of the people. And again, further to that is that in 1928, actually, in one of the conventions that they sat in Switzerland, they decided that Kenya should have been an ideal place to settle the Zionists and the Israelis then.
You can imagine.
So like where the Palestinians are right now, it could be us right now.
Exactly.
Kenyans, it could be us.
Exactly. That's the history that needs to be taught. That is the truth that needs to be told. The side of the truth is always lonely. And it takes very brave people to speak out and to talk about things that affect the society. At times when you get too comfortable about life and you find yourself just comfortable being there, then it means you've stopped living. In essence, you've stopped living. Because everything that happens around you has an impact on you as a human being. And therefore, we cannot continue blinding ourselves. And as a community, as a society in this country, we ought to take action. We ought to create awareness, educate each other, go back to history. We are a country that has gone through a lot. We were colonized.
Yes.
So we have an understanding of what oppression means.
Yes.
We were discriminated. Our forefathers were forced into slavery. As Africans, Africa is one continent that truly knows what it means to be subservient to some powerful countries. And therefore, we can use that history to educate each other, to awaken each other's conscience. We cannot let this pass and assuming that it is okay. It is not okay. And we are not as helpless. We are able to do a lot. We need to influence. We need to petition our political leaders. We need to create our own voices and spaces to be able to speak out. You see, our sisters in Gaza can't speak for themselves. They are struggling, staying alive with their children. Otherwise, they're very powerful women. They are very strong women.
I can imagine 75 days right now without aid going into Gaza.
They're very powerful
and
women.
Even before that, I mean, it was being rationed, you know, on how it was trickling down. I hear you, and one of the biggest challenge that I have noticed you're having in Kenya, especially when I see the discussions on the digital spaces, is unfortunately the tangent and the turn that this whole discussion has taken. So there is a I don't know whether it came from misinformation or disinformation, but again, there is a perception about the whole genocide that it is a Christians versus Muslims war, right? So there are people who are adherents of the Christian faith and they associate with Israel and they're kind of supporting Israel right now and saying that, you know, I mean, we are supporting Israel. If anything, these Muslims should be butchered and massacred. So it's of course misinformation and disinformation outside there, but again, it has really dominated the digital media space. So I don't know then what tactics can we use to try and humanize the whole thing and actually present it as is, because it's not just Muslims who are being affected. The largest Christian missionary hospital was bombed the other day. Christians have been killed. All right? It's a cosmopolitan country just like any other country on earth. But again, what tactics can we use to try and demystify this whole notion about it being a religious war?
We need to educate Kenyans. We need to educate ourselves. We need to teach people the truth. We need not to shy from the truth of what's happening and the history behind what's happening. The whole idea is oppressive and bad people always take advantage when there's no information, or rather if there's misinformation. The deliberate agenda that has been put out there was in preparation to what's happening now. It is a long-term agenda where the world was misinformed, was lied to, things were choreographed to vilify and give support to what's happening, to create that ground that what was going to happen has a basis in existence, in other person's existence, in a people's existence, you know. So this has been choreographed for long. It's a lie that has been told for so long, and it needs education. Genuine information, truthful information in almost all platforms. So that at least the ordinary Kenyan knows truly what's happening, that this has got nothing to do with faith. It has been given that picture so that every injustice, every wrong that is being done to the Palestinian people is seen as justified. So it's a lie that has been perpetuated for so long. And I think to some extent we have allowed it. We have allowed it because we didn't speak out enough. We didn't teach about it in our syllabus in schools. We never spoke about it. We were only talking about peacekeeping. You can keep peace in a place where there are two equal people who are conflicting. Yes. But where there's an injustice and the people are occupied and they are oppressed and they are overpowered, and then the picture created out there, whoever is doing it, is playing the victim. And this has been the problem. We very well know people who have perpetuated the oppression in Palestine don't even have a faith. A good number of them are atheists. They are perpetuating their own greed. They are following up on their own desires. Whims and desires, yeah. And whims and desires. And what they attempt to do out there has got nothing to do with faith. But they will use the vulnerabilities we have as human beings so that we play into that emotion. They'll use that faith to play with people's emotions so that you start justifying. You give away your freedom. You give away your rights. You assume that someone who doesn't look like you or doesn't believe in what you believe in, if he's suffering, then that's the enemy. And that it's not your business, at the best. At the worst, that you should perpetuate the same and equivalently apply the same violence. If you see the discussion that ordinary people are having out there, you can actually tell it's a lack of information, it is ignorance. And you know, with lack of information, what we can do is now educate people. Tell people the truth. Speak on every platform. Give a history of the Nakba, how it has been happening. Tell the truth without fearing. And you know, the interesting thing is, if we leave only lone voices, there's a chance of people assuming that these are crazy people or they don't know what they're talking about. But if we all speak about it, if we create platforms to discuss it, because we are very clear, as a country we've gone through a lot. As African people, we've been marginalized, we've been oppressed, we know what it means to be under colonial rule. We cannot assume it is okay. That's why South Africa has gone out of its way, because they truly understand what they went through apartheid. They know the sufferings that they went through. They know how they were hurt. They know how the world was lied to. It was faith that was used in South Africa to perpetuate the caliber, to perpetuate the apartheid. It was faith that was used.
Even in Kenya, colonization.
Yes.
It started with
Yeah,
explorers and then the missionaries.
Turn a blind eye and, you know, don't speak out and you don't fight back your master. Yeah, and someone enslaves you.
Interesting. One key thing that I'm picking from that example that you just mentioned about South Africa, actually it jogged my memory, and I remember the statement of Nelson Madiba Mandela saying that South Africa will not be free for as long as Palestine is not free.
True.
So then can we say that the founding fathers of the free South Africa today actually played a part in what we are currently witnessing in South Africa?
Actually, if you go back to all the civil rights movements, be it in the US, when the black Americans were fighting the Jim Crow system. If you come to Africa and look at the struggle against colonialism, all our leaders were messaging the same thing. They were very clear about oppression, about injustice. And that's why you hear the word, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no way we can allow ourselves to stomach an injustice assuming that we are safe from it. It affects us. If we allow injustice to thrive, it will come at our doorstep at the end of the day. So we should be clear that there is space for informing people. People need to be reached out to. People need to be talked to. People need to be given spaces to speak out. We shouldn't confine the discussion of the oppression and the brutality happening in Palestine and Gaza particularly to Muslim quarters alone, or rather in mosques. It should go to churches, it should go to everywhere. Every platform should be used to tell Kenyans that this is an injustice that is happening to people, and it's happening, and it can happen to you tomorrow. If you do not speak out, then it has a way of eating you up.
Wow, that's very beautifully put. I can't help but think about this. And I would really like your advice now as a mother, not just to me, but all our audiences and our viewers back at home. And it is something that is tied to the topic that we're discussing, and at the same time tied to the whole aspect of sustenance, of risk, whether job, whether business opportunities, and learning opportunities outside there. So there is a case of one Idris Mukhtar in December 2022, 24th December to be precise, 2022 if you can recall. This young brother from Korogosho was actually an aspiring, he's actually a media practitioner, right? And he got an opportunity to actually join CNN back then in 2022. But again, he was denied the opportunity over a tweet that he had made 15 years, when he was 15 years, a couple of years prior. And that was in regards to a football match, by the way, between Bayern Munich, a German team, and Barcelona, right? And at the time, Messi was playing for Barcelona. And Messi was supporting Israel, or rather he was seen supporting Israel, or perpetuated, or assumed that he was supporting Israel. And at the same time, we know the whole history about Adolf Hitler and the Zionists, basically. So the brother, who is an ardent supporter of Barcelona, then he said, because of Lionel Messi, who is supporting Israel, and at that time, there were oppressions and attacks against Palestinians. So he said, because of that, I'm going to shift my support and support Bayern Munich and support, he said, Hitler power, right? The hashtag or something of that sort. So because of this tweet, it denied him then an opportunity to join CNN. In extrapolating the message from this whole story is some people looking at the status quo is inclined towards supporting Israel and the powers that be. So if you're really looking at a global opportunity, if you're really looking at maybe joining a multinational company, looking at maybe partnering with them in some business deal or something, then you can just support silently per se and not come out and speak and shout about it. So again, coming back to you as a mother, so what advice would you give us in terms of having fear to speak out because of maybe fearing for sustenance, fearing for a job opportunity, fearing to sort of be in the bad books of the powers that be?
Any employer or any company that chooses not to engage you because of the principles you hold does not value you as a person. And therefore you completely disassociate. For Idris not to have been employed by the CNN was a blessing in disguise.
Okay.
Because if people don't value you for what you stand for and what you believe in, then you of course you don't belong. You
don't fit there.
Yeah, you don't belong. You've parted ways and that's it. And the beauty of it is, you as a human being, you must have values. You must have things that you truly stand for and you mean. You must not be scared to fully communicate what it is that you believe in, what values that you hold. Because that should only elevate you to getting better and becoming a progressive and a productive person. If anyone is going to let you go because of that, then of course you don't belong. Yeah, you don't belong. You don't have the same values. You don't have the same ethical way of working. Then that's it. So the earlier they know you, the better even. That's why you should never be scared. You know, supporting injustice outrightly and being subtle about the truth are two things that don't belong. It's a black and white thing. You either support justice and you're ready to lose everything else for that justice. That gives you a better place in this world, nothing to regret. It might temporarily look uncomfortable, because the truth naturally is uncomfortable. People are not usually used to, you know, the whole thing about, look at this. We have the Geneva Convention. We have the UN Charter, which clearly communicate about issues of injustice, issues of fairness, how to treat each other, human dignity. There are this group of people who feel that this is not their law and that they will disrespect it. What business do you have with these people, surely? And anything they own and any company that they even go near to, disassociate. If people don't believe in your dignity as a human being, if people don't believe that you should be treated fairly, then you've got no business with them, for heaven's sake. Young people must learn to speak out and be known for what they stand for. If, for instance, someone is not going to employ me because of the hijab that I wear, then I've got no business with them. And that's my stand, and that's my, I mean, it should be everyone else's way of doing things. Be truthful about what you represent. Be clear on who you are. Don't try to please people. Please yourself. What you believe, the ideals you believe, please your God. Where we draw our values and our ethics from a source. For me and you, we draw our sources are Islam.
Yes.
And Islam plays a very critical place in our lives and values, isn't it?
Yes, that's
yeah.
true.
So anything that puts that in a shaky position, we've got no business. It's a clear line. You don't have to please people. No, you will be living a fake life.
So beautiful how you put it, and then just reminds me of the whole aspect of rizq again in Islam, and more specifically the words of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah when he said that my heart is at ease knowing that whatever was meant for me will never miss me.
That's it. That's it. Two things that motivates any person, any rightful thinking Muslim, is that number one, Allah, whatever happens in this world happens by the will of Allah. You might not see the khair in it. You might not see the good in it. It might look painful. It might look punitive. It looks like a tribulation or a test, whatever it is. But it is the will of Allah. Wow. Second, He is the provider. He is our provider. Our rizq It does not come from any other human being. The moment we understand those two, your fear goes. You don't fear anybody. You learn how to be, you learn how to be yourself. Because look at the state of fitrah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have fear of tomorrow. You don't have fear of, not being favored by Allah. So it is that life that we keep on trying to live. In psychology, we say you have to always find that inner compass that drives you. So if as Muslims we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates us from a state of fitrah from the beginning, and that is how we ought to live on our daily lives, we are struggling because we are human beings and we make mistakes. We fall short. We sometimes sin.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back and always looking to correct that. Now coming back to the issue of Gaza, mm-hmm. and generally Palestine, we need to not only be actively involved in terms of raising funds and coming up with projects that we know will have impact, and fundraising, assisting with everything, be it the buying of the solar panels, food, medicine, clothing, think of it. On the other side, we need to push the world to stop the oppressors from oppressing the people. How do we do it? Is we do a lot of advocacy work in educating people. Majority of the people are silent, not because they want to be silent, but sometimes they fear understanding it. They don't take time to understand. But if we keep on telling them the reality, because people depend a lot on the media that they watch.
Yes,
if they are watching a one-sided media platform, then they are bound to think according to what is been choreographed for them. But if you're a free thinker, if you're an open-minded person, you'll read more. You'll make more references. You will try to see and understand, why is this happening? And why is it happening the way it is happening? And what are the reasons behind it? And how will this affect the future of my own children, way after I'm gone? Because if you allow injustice to happen, it encroaches into your space in future.
It grows.
And that is exactly, that's why you must stop it. You must stop it. And that's why we say injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Because the more you keep quiet on issues of injustice, the more the quality of life is sucked out of your life. So the reality we need to bring home to every home, every Kenyan home, is at least a piece of education. So that even when those who support oppression know what they are supporting, even those who would want to support Israel would know clearly what it stands for, what it does. You know? Let them not just support it for the sake of supporting it. Let them understand, bring them to an understanding, to know what it is that they are supporting, what it is that they are... By buying that Coca-Cola and buying from companies that are perpetuating this genocide, what am I doing as a family? My well-earned, deserved salary, if I go to spend it, and in retrospect, the same is used to go kill children in Palestine, then I should be having the conscience of asking myself, what am I doing? Am I spending my money in the right way? Why is there a boycott? Why are people boycotting Israeli products? What is the rationale behind it?
To stop funding the genocide.
Sometimes people fail to understand that they themselves are supporting without knowing, indirectly. Because if you buy their products, you're funding and you're sustaining the war in Palestine. It's not even a war, it's oppression. I don't know how to even describe it. The genocide. You are the one killing those children unknowingly. So let people know. The whole idea is about knowledge, giving information, discussing matters openly, creating that consciousness in the minds of every Kenyan person, so that they choose what to stand for. Because Palestine is a description of all of us. Even Christians know very well the history behind Palestine. They have a very good grip of it. They know what happened to Isa alayhi salam. Yeah.
Today is them who never know. You never know about tomorrow. It could be us, it could be...
Yes, and I've met very many Kenyan Christians who do not support Israel and who support the stopping of the genocide and are ready to give their support on what is needed by the Palestinians. So also on our part, we don't have to make assumptions. Not all Kenyans are the same, especially open-minded, highly educated Kenyans, people who know history, people who value reading. We have Kenyans who read, who understand issues and are not blind. And one sad thing about anyone who follows any faith is about dogma. As a philosophy and a religious education scholar, I am conscious that it is wrong to actually blindly follow. You must have a very good understanding. Whatever it is that you value and you follow must be logical, must be something you can understand, something that your heart appreciates, and something that you can do and you're happy when you're doing it. If any of these faculties are not agreeing, then it's wrong. Indoctrinating people is wrong. I should be conscious, and that's why Islam talks to us about reading. You're told read, understand issues. Yeah, that's why you need to get knowledge. For you to be a good believer, and look at even how Allah subhanahu the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam comparing those that are knowledgeable and those that are not knowledgeable.
Even Allah says it.
Allah says, the difference between the knowledgeable and those that are not knowledgeable. Yeah, it's like day and night.
Day and night, true.
So if there's a religion that does not allow dogma, is Islam. Unfortunately, other people would blindly follow and cannot even tell you why they do certain things. But a small child in a Muslim home will explain to you why they pray. Yes.
That's true.
So information, it's about information sharing, advocacy. We shouldn't shy from knocking at everybody's door. We must create awareness. We have a duty as Muslims. We must give out charity. We must donate. We must spend a lot of time in dua.
Yes.
And remembering our brothers and sisters and our children in Palestine on a daily basis and make dua for them. Because dua for them is dua for us.
SubhanAllah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's even sad. Sometimes these days I find it very difficult to enjoy anything or, without remembering. I'm like, SubhanAllah, these blessings that I have are a big test. SubhanAllah. Yeah, imagine going home today, me and you will go in the evening and we'll have a good sleep. But remember, there are people who will be bombed in sleep.
They're not even sure about tomorrow.
Whose homes will turn upside down. Because somebody somewhere thinks that they shouldn't exist. It's all wrong.
As we're winding up, 3 minutes to go, what would be your message to the political class in this country? We have seen other countries putting pressure into their governments and actually pushing the government to make a stand and declaring Israel an apartheid state. We've seen other countries actually moving ahead and taking bold steps in cutting ties with Israel. We have seen all that. But our Kenyan politicians, they do a lot in their own personal capacities. They support, some of them speak out, but I feel personally as a person, it's not enough. They could do more. What about you? What would be your message to them?
There's a lot we can do. We need to petition our representatives in parliament to be able to push a more stronger position. Of course, Kenya supports, is part of the UN Charter, is signed into those treaties and all that. But the position needs to be pushed, and Kenya needs to be stronger and to come out strongly against the oppression and the genocide that's happening in Palestine. And the only way we can do that, our voice is in parliament. We have a parliament. We each have a representative. We need to petition them. We need to petition them to put up motions in parliament, to have that discussed, and to have our country come out stronger and clearly to stop, to support the ceasefire, total ceasefire and conditional ceasefire, like what the UN has repeatedly been talking about. So the more the voices, the better. So that's our power, and that's the power we need to utilize. And fundraisers, and completely boycott Israeli products. Because this is again what is perpetuating the violence. Outrightly, this is what's being used to bomb children, to kill women, to destroy homes. Innocent people are dying every day. We should not be okay with that. We shouldn't be happy with that. And we shouldn't take our money to that. Spend your money wisely. Instead of buying Coca-Cola, go get yourself a glass of juice. Yeah, and a homemade juice. It's actually more healthier even.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So you say we petition our representatives to take a bolder decision in Parliament and push our administration to cut ties with Israel.
Yes, completely. Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Hoya. Wallahi. It has been really a pleasure. I know we barely scratched the surface on some of these matters, but subhanAllah, for me, this has been quite a personal discussion. Wallahi, it has really sparked some emotion. And myself, I'm walking out of this interview feeling that I believe I could do better. I believe I should do better, and I believe I need to do better. Right? And thank you so much, Wallahi.
Thank you so much for the platform.
SubhanAllah, that is just my takeaway from this conversation. I don't know about you. Sitting here already, I'm thinking of a million things that we could do different, we could do better to try and spread this gospel about the current genocide that is happening in Gaza. As our mother mentioned, we are living here tonight. We are going back to our comfortable homes. Probably you've already had dinner, or we're going to have dinner right now, and we're going to sit with our families. But again, there is a family sitting under a tent, and the apartheid Israeli state, they are not discriminating. They're even going for the concentration camps. They're even going for the camps that are actually trying to shelter the displaced persons. They're not discriminating. They're going for hospitals. They're going for schools. They're going for everyone. As we said, 90% of the people right now in Gaza are actually displaced, right? And these people, I don't even think they're going to get sleep tonight. I don't even think if they get to sleep. But their resilience is admirable. Some of them are still counting on you and I to continue spreading the word, continue spreading the gospel about that genocide that is happening and being carried out by the apartheid Israeli state. What are you going to do? That mother, that father, that young blood is counting on you. I'm going to raise awareness about you. See you next week, same place, same time. My name is Feisal Kassim, and it has been a pleasure to captain you on this Boeing live real talk on Horizon TV. So we are landing right now, and see you again on our next flight on Thursday from 8:15 to 9 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.